I'm a two-term state senator. I have fought for this party my entire life. I have given money. I've been a delegate to the convention. I've done everything they asked me to do. And last night, they pulled over 35,000 Democrats into a Republican primary to defeat.
But they targeted them. I mean, that robocall, do you know where that robocall came from?
Yes, sir, it came from their account, and it gets worse. It wasn't just that. There were ads in the paper saying that if I won, I would cut off food stamps. And if you could imagine the scare tactics, they pulled it up, and they behaved just like Democrats behave, and they acted just like liberals act, and they were able to convince 35,000 people who never vote in a Republican primary to cross over into the primary.
So you were able to look at the numbers. It's now 35,000 people that had never voted in a Republican primary before that tipped the election to Thad Cochran.
Sean, based on the breakdowns we've seen this morning from two different people, but for them going out soliciting and pandering to those Democrats, we win the race by 25,000 votes.
It's pretty unbelievable. So what are you going to do from here? As I understood, you were, for example, Democrats, if they voted in the Democratic primary, this last primary runaround before this runoff, they would not be eligible to vote. Isn't that true?
That's right. It's improper or illegal. But likewise, we have a statute on our books that speaks to an issue from another angle. If you do not have the intention of supporting the primary party you're voting for in the general, then you cannot participate in the primary. Now, it's a matter of intent. But a lot of these men and women who voted are outwardly saying now they're going to switch sides and vote for the Democrats. So we feel like there's multiple irregularities, very much illegal activity. They were paying these people. They were.
You know for a fact they were paying people?
We've heard it from 1,000 different sources, Sean.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen it with my eyes. I'll be to tell you, I've been working, but we've heard it from 1,000 different sources.
You know, when we talk about the establishment, who was the establishment here but Thad Cochran? In other words, who were the people that were supporting him? I understand Haley Barbour was big in his corner.
It's Haley. It's Haley and Thad. Absolutely. And they saw the polling. They saw we had taken an 8 to 12-point lead, which ends up we won Republican base, the primary voters by 8 last night. They saw the polling, realized they couldn't win any other way, so they then reached out to the ideological adversaries that we have. You know, that's what concerns so many of us. Every so often they tell us we have to join ranks, we have to fight for conservatism, we have to fight against liberals. Until they think they can use the liberals, then they push conservatives out the window. They basically abandoned the conservative base last night.
They couldn't win any other way, could they? So they made a concerted effort in the final days of this campaign to reach out to Democrats to push them over the top, calling you, as I understand, the race card was used. Is that true?
Everything from the race card to food stamps, that I would shut down public schools. If you can imagine the fear tactics, if you can imagine the nonsense, they tried it, they did it.
Yeah. What are your options from here? Because based on the fact if they were targeting people in what is obviously to me a corrupt way, I would think that you've got some legal standing here. How many votes now totally separate you two?
For about 5,000, roughly, in that range, maybe a few more or less as the affidavits and other uncounted ballots come in. But, you know, evidently, the only lead he has is a result of the Democrats. And so there are some irregularities, and legal teams are looking into that as we speak to try to determine our next course of action. I guess what's the most frustrating thing here, Sean, is that I always thought our party was a party of conservatives. I thought we were a party of principled people. I thought we fought for things that we believed in. I never in a million years saw this or could have envisioned this happening. Never.
What does that mean for you and your future with the Republican Party if this is how the party treats you?
It's a really good question. A lot of conservatives are going to have to answer that over the next few weeks and days because they abandoned us. They threw us out. They abandoned us. They made fun of us. They ridiculed us. They pulled in 35,000 Democrats to beat us. And these are some tough decisions we're going to have to make. But I've always loved the party. I just always thought it was a party of bold colors, not pastels. I always thought it was the party of Reagan. And we're just seeing it's very.
Yeah, but you got to understand the establishment. People forget Reagan's history. I mean, Reagan was a Tea Party member before there was Tea Party because he actually challenged a sitting Republican president, primaried Gerald Ford, nearly defeated him. And he was hated by some of the very people now that invoke his name endlessly. But he was Tea Party before Tea Party existed.
Well, that's right. And he fought and he said the right things. He did the very best he could under difficult circumstances. But I'm just not one. I do not appreciate the leftward tilt of the National Party. I do not appreciate the way the party apparatus in general has behaved. They always told me primaries were good for the party. They encouraged primaries. And when we did one, they all just went a bit berserk, basically.
Let me ask you this question, because I noticed all night last night and on Twitter today, even though I haven't been writing a lot myself because I'm busy, but I do check Twitter to see where people's minds are at, and there's a lot of talk about people writing your name in. A, is it a possibility, and B, would you support that effort?
That's a good question. It's something I'm thinking about, praying about right now. And not to mention the fact that a lot of lawyers are looking at the issue as we speak. You have to understand this all happened just last night, and a lot of the conservatives in this state are shell-shocked right now because the party that we love, the party we've always fought for, basically told us that we didn't matter, and they basically went out there and found 35,000 Democrats to beat us, and they're going to come back to us now and expect us all to be friends, and it's too early right now to kind of get those raw emotions out of the way because we feel betrayed. We've never thought this was possible. We always thought our party and Senator Cochran would behave in a better fashion. But at the same time,
do you foresee any circumstance under which you would support this guy? Because I don't think I couldn't do it.
Are you talking about Senator Cochran?
That's correct. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's something else. I mean, I've prayed about it last night. I have friends that tell me I should, others that tell me they can't. My core principle is going to have a hard time even looking at politics again for a while, to be honest with you. I mean,
this is the stuff that Democrats do to conservatives all the time. He used the exact same tactics that I despise when the left uses it against conservatives. Exact same playbook. And that's what the demonization, the slander, the smear, besmirching, the lies, the fear-mongering, all of the same tactics. It was almost like, Barack Obama did, like David Plouffe and Axelrod were running Thad Cochran's campaign.
It was. You're exactly right. And I'm confident that most of that originated in the national higher-up lobbyist insiders, those associated with the party for many years. And I'm hoping the nation's watching this.
You sound like you know what you sound like? Because you sound like you got punched in the gut. You sound like you've been betrayed.
Sean, I was. I mean, I can't, there's more than words to put it. This is the party. I've been a member of the Republican Party since I was 13 years old. I have fought for these people. These are my colleagues. These are my friends. And, it's funny. I would never in a million years have reached out to liberal Democrats and established my candidacy. It's better to lose with honor. It's better to lose with dignity. It's better to lose with your principles intact than to reach out to liberal Democrats. I don't understand that contradiction in terms. I don't understand that conflict. On one hand, they say we have to fight and we have to be courageous and we have to be conservatives. On the other hand, they say, well, not if we can use the liberals to win an election. And
let me tell you what it is, because that's the typical. This is why people hate politicians in general, because it's all about them. It's all about power. Any means necessary. And in this case, it meant taking a good conservative, slandering, besmirching, attacking, lying about him, and using every dirty tactic that they can come up with and basically cheat their way into this position. And there's no other way to realize this. I mean, they played the system in a way that is legally, in my mind, questionable. I'd like to know if some of these Democrats that voted for Cochran actually voted in the Democratic primary. I think for you guys to get to the bottom of this with only 5,000 votes separating you, I mean, there's no telling. In the end, I want to know. I want to know who these voters are, and I want to know if there's going to be a judge that throws this election out and you start all over again.
Absolutely. We're looking at that right now. And the bigger question is why it is that Republicans did not elect a Republican nominee last night, why it was the liberal Democrats did. And that's alarming. Sean, I hope the entire country's watching. I hope everybody sees what this is happening here. This may be a microcosm of a larger problem.
Is anybody asking Haley Barbour about this? Anybody asking Haley Barbour if he feels good about this win?
Oh, for goodness sakes. I haven't heard him say a word, but you know bloody well he's fine with it as long as he won. It's all about victory. It's all about victory. There's no principle there. It's all about victory.